This is Paul the Butcher Vashon, and you're listening to the Count It Out.
I am here on behalf of Count It Out, and it's so nice we got to do it twice. I am very lucky to be joined once again by the very tall, we sat down last time we did this, Mr. Erik Redbeard Rowan. Mr. Rowan, thank you so much for coming again to do this.
Oh, you're welcome. Large man with a tiny microphone.
That's it, eh? So I want to be really quick here. I know that you're a busy man. I want to talk a little bit about some cool things you've done in your career. And, recently we just had the Survivor Series happen. You were actually part of one of what many consider the greatest Survivor Series match of all time, Team Cena versus Team Authority. You had that great moment where you were announced as the partner. You had that great moment with Luke Harper. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that moment for you and what it means for you?
They always say unexpected in wrestling. That was unexpected. Sheamus got injured. He was part of the thing. They were scrambling in the back to get a replacement. My name was the first to come up. Luckily, I had done a pre-tape earlier in the night, I think with Miz and Sandow and that weird, cute little cat, which I can't remember its name. I think it was Grumpy Cat.
Grumpy Cat, yeah.
And so I was already changed and just watching the show. And, they said, hey, you need to hurry up, get out there. So I hurried up, got out there. My music hit as I was still getting dressed.
No way.
So I zipped up the onesie and hopped out to the ring. Nobody out there knew I was coming. It was great because that's unexpected moments. So the reactions you see in the ring, genuine reactions, and that's what's cool about wrestling.
And it's a good thing that you remember Grumpy Cat's name. Otherwise, you might get some heat from Natty and TJ, right?
I just don't want Grumpy Cat to be angry. He's always grumpy anyway.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, you did say expect the unexpected, and during that match, we got to see the debut of Sting in the WWE. How tight-lipped was that for you guys involved? Were they kind of keeping that from you guys, or was it kind of like, hey, Sting's coming out?
Oh, we all knew he was coming out, but, why ruin the surprise for people? That's the whole point. You shouldn't have to lock somebody away. Wrestlers shouldn't have to be afraid of, a surprise being spoiled. If you want to just be quiet about it. Don't tell anybody. But nowadays everybody's got a phone. Oh, I saw him backstage. It's just it ruins the surprise. But yeah, we knew he was there.
Absolutely. Speaking of surprises, now obviously I don't want anything ruined, but the Royal Rumble is coming up. Any interest on your end of maybe taking a phone call if they reach out to you and being a part of the Royal Rumble this year?
No comment.
I love that. How about we get a comment on one of my favorite moments of your entire career, and that was at WrestleMania 30 with you and the Wyatt family, and just this incredible entrance that you guys had. The live band was playing, the voodoo dancers. You guys got to get in there with Cena. What was that like for you? I believe that was your first WrestleMania, correct?
Actually, my first WrestleMania was 29. I was part of Undertaker's entrance. Luke Harper was part of it as well as a bunch of other guys from FCW. We were these morph suits. We were druids. We were the hands moving around when he walked out. I think he fought. I don't remember who he fought. I think it was Punk that night. But nonetheless, it was an awesome experience. The entrance wearing the mask is always cool with me because I can smile and look around and nobody really notices. So I can take in a little bit more than some of the other guys that have to have this straight-looking face like they're ready for action.
That's definitely, I think, when people talk about great WrestleMania entrances, that's the first one that pops to my mind for sure. The last question I want to ask you here, WrestleMania season is coming upon us. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of push on the online community, getting the Wyatt family into the Hall of Fame this year. Is that something that's kind of been in the back of your mind, or you just kind of going with the flow and whatever happens, happens?
No, I'm always surprised, and when I feel the faction touch people's lives. I've seen how John's impacted people's lives. I see how Wyndham's impacted people's lives. So just for people to say it, it's humbling to know that they made such a lasting impact on people.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you guys were to get that phone call, anybody in mind that you'd like to see induct you guys?
I wouldn't even begin to think about it. Like, it's so soon since everything with the passings, and to even think about something like that, it's just ridiculous to me. But I'm holding a tiny microphone talking to you about this. I feel ridiculous in that sense as well. So it's just not something that really crossed my mind.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you again for your time. The last question I want to ask you, and I like to end all interviews like this. When you look back at everything that you've done in your career, some great moments, either in front of the camera or behind the scenes, what's something that you just sit back and it just makes you smile to think about?
Just the times me and John spent, tagging together, and even with Wyndham and the 6 match we would do, and the live events, and just ribbing each other and having fun when the days seem to go on and on and on and on. Those are the memories I'll never forget.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing part 2 with us. I'll keep keeping an eye on the Comic-Con scene. Who knows, maybe we'll get the hat trick one day. We're Canada. We love our hockey over here, right?
Third time's the charm, but in the meantime, take this tiny microphone.
Big thank you to Erik Rowan for joining the show again. But it feels weird without saying this, so I gotta say it. We are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approve. Count it out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and I am joined by Mojito Mike. Mike, I feel like we haven't recorded a show together in probably a month and a half. Like, it feels like a long time. I've missed this, man. It's good to get on here. How you doing?
I don't know what the half, but it's definitely been a month. Yeah, I mean, shit. We always use that old term, life happens. Life fucking happened, man, and it hit us both simultaneously hard in the last month. You took a couple weeks off for personal matters.
I don't mind talking about a little bit too.
All right, cool. It was not my place. Thanks to Adam and Danny, respectively, for taking your place for those 2 weeks.
Thanks to Adam.
Speaking of which, I got a lot of fucking great feedback on that Ropes to Reels episode. I had a lot of people wanting that to become a thing. So keep up for that. Maybe there'll be a YouTube show on our show in the future. Thanks Adam and Danny for doing that for us. To me, it wasn't my place to talk about your personal business. I wasn't going to tell our audience why you weren't there. That's not my place. I figured when you were ready and you wanted to talk about it on the show, if you wanted to talk about it, you would. So I just pretended you didn't exist for 2 weeks, and
it's been more than 2 weeks.
Well, it was 2 weeks where you weren't
here.
You
pretended I haven't existed for 4 years.
Yeah, it's true.
No, it's and we're gonna talk. We're gonna get a little bit real here for a couple minutes on the show, and we both had some terribleness happen in our life, and mine happened first. We lost my father, my stepfather, Dino, who was a great man. He passed away suddenly, and it sucked. It really sucked, and it's hard. Like, you go through so many emotions when something like this happens, and I said this to my family. We spent a lot of time together, and I have such an incredible family that you can't really put into words just how proud you are of them. I had a big hand. I feel like I was a really big role model for them growing up. Not a father figure, but I tried my best to steer them as best as I felt fit to, be a good role model for them. Not perfect, of course, but
and none of them's in jail, so
right, it's doing okay. But yeah, I was really proud of all of them. Normally, I play the protector role in my family, where I just push my emotions down and deal with it on my own after, because I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of the 5 of us, right? Mm-hmm. And my family, they're not kids anymore. They're young adults, and my sister's old. Take that, sister. I know you don't listen to this, But so I didn't. It wasn't my place to do that anymore. I needed to let them handle this on their own and go through their own emotions and be there for support and I got to grieve with them, which is something that I don't usually get to do. And it was a terrible tragedy, but I'm just so proud of my family and I thank you and some of our other close friends for coming there and being supportive with me. And
Well, let
we're
me
doing
tell you,
okay.
you want to talk about being proud. I got to tell you how proud I am of you and your family as well, because obviously I didn't know Dino. I wasn't there. They say you don't go to a funeral for the deceased.
Yeah.
They don't fucking. They're not there. You know what I mean? You're there for the people, for what we call the survivors. We're there for the people who are still there, the people that need your support. So I didn't know Dino. I wasn't there for Dino. I was there for you more than anybody else. And I only know your mother a little bit. I've met your mother a handful of times, but I wanted to be there for your mother as well.
We plan to keep it that way. So,
But but I gotta tell you, I just gotta say two things before I stop myself from talking too much. One is, for me, not having known that man at all, both myself and our mutual friend Steve are sitting there in the funeral, and we're both fucking teary-eyed because the way that you and your brothers and your sister, the way you talked about Dino, it was emotional, it was moving, it was fucking beautiful. I didn't know the man, but I guarantee he would have been very proud of everything that you said. That was amazing. And the fact that you had the strength to do what you did and get through what you did, with almost not breaking down at all, that I'm incredible. The other thing I just wanted to say too is, it's really cool for me. Right before we left, we just wanted to say our goodbyes, and I wanted to share my respects with the rest of your family, not just you. And the majority of your family, but especially your brother Connor, that's the youngest one, right?
yeah.
They all accepted me as this guy that they've known for years, and I don't know any of them really. I've never met your sister before, and I met your brothers each once. Your brother Connor gave me the tightest, greatest hug. And he says, I don't care, man. He goes, I feel like I've been listening to you for 4 years. I feel like we're brothers. I know you. And I'm like, that is the greatest fucking feeling. You know
He's
what I mean?
a good dude.
This man is grieving the loss of his father, and he had a beautiful speech as well. He's grieving the loss of his father, and he still has the heart to give me that massive smile. And I don't know how you call him your little brother.
Yeah,
That boy ain't little.
He's a big boy. He's a strong boy.
He gives
I
me that
still
big,
whoop the shit out of him, though. I'll tell you. I know he's
he gives me
listening.
that big, strong smile, that big bear hug, and really accepted me as someone who belonged there. That felt really great. So yeah, that explains your whereabouts for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just to touch on that too. You talked about Connor, and Connor, like he's a cool dude, man. And I told him this last year. As you know, I'm very open with our show. I look at anyone that's taken the time to listen to us and follow us, especially if you've been with us since the beginning. Like, I have such an utmost respect for our audience, and I'm always going to be honest with them. And it's very well documented now that I've recently changed my profession. I've left the restaurant industry. I work at a car dealership, work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I don't know if I've told you this story or not, but the main factor of me making that change was Connor. 2 years ago, Connor called me and he said, it may have even been last year. And he said, hey, man, I'm home from school for this weekend. It's WrestleMania. Do you want to watch WrestleMania with me? And I couldn't because I had to work.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just tired of missing. Man. I'm just tired of missing these moments. So I'm out of the restaurant industry, and Connor's coming over to watch WrestleMania this year, man. We're gonna get buckled.
Love that. Yeah, I'm still living that life, and I still understand that 100%. And I miss things with my own children on a regular basis, and it fucking breaks me.
Tough
so
industry,
I get that 100%.
I'm gonna kind of turn it over to you now too, because I don't want to speak on your behalf here. I know this was really tough for you, so I'm just gonna kind of let you say your piece here.
Yeah, those who don't follow me personally on social media, I'm not sure that anybody. Some know who, some don't. Those who know me personally do know. We lost a great man last week, just over a week ago. Very good friend of mine. His given name was James Dekker, but no one fucking called him that. You either knew him as Dekker or you knew him as Jameser. And not only was he one of my closest friends since I'm fucking 12 years old, but the man, it was just a member of the community. And I mean, any community he was part of, be it when he lived in Englehart, he was Englehart. When he lived in North Bay, he was North Bay. If he's at a wrestling show, he is the wrestling show. He's there. And people know him and people approach him and people talk to him. He was the greatest guy. To the point where the Rock Solid team knew him so well for taking amateur video at their shows, and he wasn't a stingy about his shit. He would take videos, then send them to whoever he took the video of and said, here you go. I did this for you. If you don't want it, toss it. If you want it, use it. There you go. Never ask for a goddamn thing. To the point where Rock Solid put him on the fucking payroll, man. Like Rock Solid, like Rock Solid said, come on, be part of the team. Right down to the point where they, the day of his celebration of life, was the day of their Bracebridge show. And this past Saturday, and he was supposed to be there filming with our good boy, our good brother Wilson as well. He was supposed to be filming the show, and obviously was not there. So instead, they just put out this beautiful tribute, which I haven't seen yet. I've only been told about it, but apparently they had like the whole crowd in Bracebridge like chanting Dekker's name, and I can't wait to see that. It brings a tear to my eye just thinking of it. But yeah, Dekker was big for this show too. Dekker did a lot. Dekker was very proud of this show. He was very proud of the things we did. And Dekker wasn't a man of a lot of, he didn't have a lot of money. He didn't have a lot of ways of doing things. So it's not like he could give the show money. So he just gave the show the little things he could. He made us laminates, for Christ's sake. He made you and I laminates to wear at shows that had our names on it and the logo and shit. Little things like that go a long way with me, just the little efforts. Every time he would go to a wrestling show, he would either try to, like at one show, he got a fucking interview with Josh Alexander. He beat us to the punch.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that.
Yeah. And then put the Counted Out logo on it. Yeah. Everywhere he went, all his footage had the Counted Out logo on it because he was so proud of us and just wanted to be part of it. And I talked about having them on the show for forever, and it just didn't happen. And that's going to be one of those things I have to live with now. But he loved the show. He loved that we did the show, and that was amazing. I'm not going to spend too much time talking to him because I won't lie to you, man. This past weekend, I might be all fucking cried out. This last weekend was the funeral. I went home to my hometown, and it was hard. It was really, really hard to be there. We went to Dekker's backyard, where I spent 5 years of my life backyard wrestling. That's where we built our first ring. That's where we spent our entire teenage years just being idiots. And me and two of my close friends who were there at the time too, we went and we sat in that backyard. We just broke the fuck down. And and I got to see my old crew from high school. I got to see his parents. I got to introduce my family to some old friends that have never met my children. So I could take that away from that at least. But I think I walked away from it feeling a little bit better. Today's the first day in 2 weeks that I have not cried. We're an hour from midnight. I've almost made it a full day. So as long as I make it through this little speech, we're good. But that's big for me because I can't put myself in your shoes today. I've lost a father figure. in my grandfather, but I was 17. I was a fucking kid. I don't know what it is to be you, to be my wife, to be several of my friends. I don't know what it is to lose a parent in your adult years. I don't know what it is to lose a spouse. I don't know what it is to lose a child. I can't put myself in those people's shoes. And though he wasn't my blood, James was my brother. James was family. James's parents, I've never not called mom or dad. James's sister is always just, we hated each other like brothers and sisters would. You know what I mean? Like it was, she was my sister just as much as she was his, and we were brothers. We bickered like brothers. We loved like brothers. We did everything the same brothers would done. And I knew him for over 30 years, so it kind of tracks. Like it makes sense. So to lose him at such a stupidly young age, he was 43 years old. No reason for a man to die at 43 at all. So to lose him at that age hurt. It hurts. It's going to continue to hurt. But I know he would just want me to keep going on with my life and just do him proud. And one of the ways I could do that is by doing this show. And we're going to do a couple things in the future. We're going to sneak a couple Easter eggs in here to tribute him over time. And that's that. But anyways, thanks for putting up for my rambling. I don't know what else to say, but I am going to miss him for the rest of my life. And this show, everything I do on the show from this point on is dedicated to the memory and to my love of Jameser. I love you, buddy.
I think let's just maybe raise a glass to Dino and Jamesers. We love you both. We miss you both. If you're okay, Mike, I haven't ran this by you, but I have a really fun clip of Jamesers. I'd love to play right now.
I'd love that. I don't know what it is, but I'd love it.
I'll set it up for the viewers. I need to take a sip of my drink. That's bad luck.
I almost made it a fucking day.
You did good, man. That was a beautiful speech. This clip is from the first time that I met Jamesers. I've only met him twice, and he left a lasting impression on me as well. He was a great dude.
Would that have been the Christmas show?
This is the Christmas show, and this is raw footage that he shot and edited and sent to us, of course, because that's what Jamesers did.
Yeah.
Of moments after Holden Albright slammed Corey Stone through a table. And I rewatched this the other day because I am working on, I want to put a proper tribute out for Jamesers. I am working on something. But this really stood out to me, and I think it's just a fun clip, and I think it just captures Jamesers, and I'd love to play that for everybody if you don't mind.
Let's do it, man.
Whoa, what the hell just happened here?
Where's got his, man? He got his. He's working his head. Look at his head.
This part of the show. How you doing? Well, so let's get back in there. What's going on?
Corey Stone was coming to him there. You know what I mean?
That was an old fucking slobbing off.
Playing their own business. Hold them on the roll.
Shit, what the hell is going on?
All right, so what do you want to talk about? Cody Rhodes. You know what I want to talk about?
Talk to me.
It's been a while since we've recorded, so we're a couple weeks behind on talking in general. And even you and I, like in our personal lives, like we haven't talked a whole lot the last couple weeks. It's just been
we haven't. But
pandemonium.
What's there to talk about? I don't know, man. I've watched very little wrestling. With
you know what I want to talk about?
I hate you. Don't do it. Don't do it. You always crack out. Oh my god. Yes. Let's talk about Sting.
His last match. And did you watch the match? Have you watched the match?
I have watched the majority of it.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's
and when I say that, I put it on and I had to leave the room a couple times.
Yeah. But you got through the whole match.
I got through it, yeah. And I want to hear your thoughts on it first, and then I'll talk about it.
I want to talk about the AEW Dynamite leading into the pay-per-view. I thought it was awesome seeing Sting come down from the rafters one more time.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
I want to call out the fans on this one and talk about how the fans are so fuckking stupid.
Oh, what? Hold on. Internet wrestling fans being stupid? No.
Tony Khan does very little to impress me. Tony Khan does very little to make me say nice things about him.
Hey,
But Tony
be
Khan-
nice. Wait, be nice to AEW. We're trying to get media work for them next week. I don't know if you saw the email. I got a reply.
But Tony Khan, he did something that I thought was very classy. Before they did the spot with Sting, he reached out to Martha Hart and made sure she was comfortable with that spot being done.
Yep.
And I thought that was a fucking class act.
Well, and it's important now, too, because they work with Martha Hart.
Yes. When that news broke out, so many fans started fucking shitting all over that, going, he didn't need to ask Martha's permission. Sting was doing it far before Owen did. You missed the fucking point, idiots. Number one, he didn't ask Martha's permission. That was not him asking permission. That was him being fucking respectful and asking her about her comfort level with them doing it. Now, if she said, I'm not comfortable with it, would he have not done it? Probably. But that's not the same as asking for fucking permission. It's being courteous. And why did he feel the need to ask her for that? Not sure if you know how her husband fucking died, but he was kind of fucking doing the same stunt. Now, yes, Sting did that stunt long before Owen was doing it. But guess what? There's two things. Number one, Sting never fucking died. Number two, did Sting ever do it again after Owen died?
Not much. He did it. He did, but it wasn't often.
It's like that spot became, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that spot because someone fucking died.
Yeah.
And then it was, maybe we shouldn't do that spot out of respect for the guy who died. You know, good for Tony. For the fans who seem to think, who only see black and white.
Who are you? Did you just say good for Tony? You love Tony Khan all of a sudden?
What's with you? I can't. If I say one nice thing about Tony, I love Tony.
Yeah, but
4 years ago, I said what? 4 years ago, I said one bad thing about Kenny Omega, and this became the Mike Hates Kenny Omega show.
Yeah, you hate Kenny Omega, you love Tony Khan. I don't understand.
I can't say one good thing or one bad thing about anybody. It becomes my entire personality.
I know we haven't recorded in a while. It's only been like a month since we recorded together, but
I give credit. I give credit where credit is due. I still won't give credit to half the shitty books.
That's why you're the most credible podcaster in the business, buddy.
You're telling me right now that you enjoy 90% of what fucking AEW is putting on television?
No, I just wanted to say that you have credibility because you said you call it the way it is.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't. I've not enjoyed a lot of AEW, but I did enjoy.
Can you believe the fucking the 180 it's taken? At the end of the year, you and I were talking how the Adam Cole MJF story was one of the greatest things 2023 had seen. Now we're in 2024 and it's the worst piece of fucking shit in wrestling.
No, it's the second worst
storyline. What do you think is the first?
The Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Okay, I haven't been really paying attention to that.
So what that is, it's Billy Gunn and the Acclaim. Scissor
Isn't he like? Isn't he in like the Bullet Club now or something?
Yeah, they're teaming up with Jay White and Juice Robinson and the Guns and come on, Jay White is a fucking elite star. Like, what are we doing here?
It's dumb.
Sorry, that was my rant.
But one thing that they were doing was the final match of Sting. And in the beginning of the build and through the build, to be honest, I was not a fan of the match.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this.
I'm not a Young Bucks fan. So for me to see the Bucks be in his last match, that's not what I personally wanted. With that said, if you ask me what I did want, I didn't have an answer. Because there was nothing in AEW to me that could have been done properly. And I just didn't have an answer for that. The proper response was not Sting doing a one-on-one match. Sting doing a tag match was the right answer.
Yeah, well, he has not done a one-on-one
But-
match in AEW.
But we're going into his final match, and there's 4 men in the match, and 3 of them I can't stand. So it's hard for me to be invested in this match. With that said, you said something to me that I have to repeat, and I have to repeat in agreement. After the match was said and done, after the bell rang, the Bucks were the right guys.
I agree 100%. You know what
The Bucks
made
did their
me,
job 100% well.
you know what made me start to turn my opinion around on that a little bit is actually when we had Rob Van Dam on the show. And we asked Rob about this match, which you can see in our archives, or I learned how to make reels. I made a reel out of it. So check that out. Pretty cool shit. I'm getting good at them too. But we asked Rob Van Dam what his thoughts were on Sting's last match because he had worked with Sting a lot. And he said, I think that the Young Bucks will get the best out of Sting. And he was right. Sting's got a lot of miles on his body. He's 60-something years old.
What was this? Was this 40 years in the business?
About 40 years in the business, 60-something years old. You know, he had the bum necking at the end of the WWE run there. And the Young Bucks, like, love them or hate them, they're great workers. Like, they are. They put on.
I don't think they are.
They can put on incredible performances. How about that?
All right.
And then to come and find out that they were hand chosen by Sting to be his last match, I thought was really cool as well because Sting had so much fun working with them at Forbidden Door a couple of years ago.
I like that they chose to change their characters.
Yes.
I like that they chose to really go all in, no pun intended.
I don't get it.
Into this heel persona. Changing their name to Matthew and Nicholas, the synchronized clothing, the way they acted when they came out. I won't lie to you. I thought this was going to be a 2006 Shawn Michaels deal. I thought this was or 2005 Shawn Michaels deal, I should say.
With the oversell.
I thought this was no. I thought it was going to be them being a heel for this one storyline and then flipping back as soon as it was done, saying,
yeah, well, let's talk about that after. I'm kind of intrigued to hear your thoughts on that after.
Okay. So I'll just end it there saying that until we go on, that I was surprised that they're continuing with the heel gimmick. I was surprised how much I enjoyed this match because I cannot stand Darby Allin. He is at the bottom of the list of the guys in AEW that I enjoy watching.
I'm not huge on Darby as well.
I am not a fan of the Bucks at all. But it's Sting's last match. I had to watch it. I had to. Right from the beginning, having Sting's sons involved was fun as fuck.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
That was really cool from the entrance to them getting involved with the Stinger splashes.
Yeah, they both threw some great Stinger splashes, especially Wolfpack's son.
Yeah.
He got some air.
Apparently he fucked it up in rehearsal, went too high.
Oh, really?
Over the top rope. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
almost hurt himself. Yeah. That son, I believe his name is Stephen Borden. He's named after his father.
Not to be confused with Stephen Bourne, who listens to our show.
Then, of course, you had the involvement of the special timekeeper, Ricky Steamboat.
What a pop he got, eh?
Huge pop. Of course, Ric Flair had been a member of the storyline the entire time.
I feel like they could have got more out of Flair on this run.
I wasn't a fan of what they did with Flair through it. That I didn't like that whole. I get it. I get why they did it because Flair and Sting hated each other more than they liked each other throughout the careers. So I get why they teased the heel turn.
I think they should have pulled the trigger on it.
If they weren't going to do it, don't tease it.
Man,
this is what I'm saying.
Ric Flair managing the Young Bucks.
Yes.
After turning heel on Sting again, I was begging for that for months.
That I could have sunk my teeth into and bought. But them teasing the turn and not giving and not pulling the trigger, I don't like that.
You could have even had Flair
didn't
turn
enjoy it.
face after. He could have like tricked the Bucks during the match. You know what I mean? Like
pulled a Mike Tyson.
yeah, I think it
Yeah.
would have been great. But I just like I really wanted to see Ric Flair turn heel on Sting one more time. And
For sure.
especially like let's talk about where this match was, Greensboro. In the
Mhm.
same building where Sting and Flair went 45 minutes at the Clash of the Champions.
Yeah.
Like
It's,
and that helped the crowd. Like the crowd was there for Sting the entire night. I thought the match was incredible. This match this match is going to be hard not to be on my year-end list for best moments of the year.
see, best moments. Okay. I don't think it's going to be a match of the year contender.
No, absolutely not.
Well, but a lot of people are already considering it that. And listen, if your name is Sting, if your name is Ric Flair, if your name is Tony Khan, I get why you feel like that, but you're thinking with your heart. You're not, you're thinking with your emotions. It wasn't a match of the year contender.
It wasn't even the match of the night. Like I haven't watched it yet, but I know Will Ospreay and Takeshi tore the house down or whatever, whoever it was. I can't remember, but your favorite wrestler, Will Ospreay.
Man, he's the new Bret Hart, baby.
Are you? Next thing I know, you're gonna tell me that you love Unforgiven 2006, and it's the greatest pay-per-view to ever come out of Canada.
I do love Unforgiven.
No, you don't. I'm not.
It's the 8th greatest pay-per-view to be held in Canada.
Thank you for listening, everybody. This has been a great edition of Canada with Mike and Tyler.
You're all surprised again. I'm going to say something else nice about Tony Khan. Again, with fans being dildos. Yes, Tony Khan called this pay-per-view the greatest pay-per-view in wrestling history. Yeah, he called it that.
I mean, to be fair, he works with Tony Schiavone.
And listen, was it? Of course it fucking wasn't. No, but that term is subjective. So my greatest pay-per-view in history is not your greatest pay-per-view in history.
No,
and it's not the next guys, and it's not the next guys, and it's not the next guys. So don't even fucking go down that road. However, if you're gonna shit on Tony Khan for calling that the greatest pay-per-view of all time, and you're like, there's no way he believes that. You know what? He probably fucking does believe that. Because
a lot of people are saying it's the greatest pay-per-view in AEW history.
And I doubt I even believe that. But can you imagine? Put yourself in Tony Khan's shoes. You're a man who 6 years ago was just the son of a fucking billionaire, handing out fake titles at WWE shows. Sucking up at WWE shows. Now you're standing there in a match that you just booked.
Now he's the son of a billionaire who's handing out fake titles to former WWE stars.
You just booked Sting's last match in the Greensboro Coliseum.
Mm-hmm. Pretty fucking cool.
One of the most decorated, one of the most iconic stadiums in history. And Sting had his last match there because of you. You gave him that.
Yep.
It's under your banner. Of course, that's a moment you're going to remember for the rest of your life.
One thing I won't argue with people.
It felt like the greatest pay-per-view ever in that moment.
One thing I won't argue with people too is I dare people to find a better final run than Sting had. That's a big one, man. Like yeah. I put that up there. Like the quality of matches he had, the emotion he drew out of people. His last 3 years in AEW, they were really good, man. He had, they weren't all home runs, but I dare someone to find someone at that age that
it was
delivered
better.
That
it was
much.
Better than his WWE run.
Yeah,
we can take that up there. Well, it's easy, but that's
I didn't hate his WWE run either. A lot of people shit on it. I thought it was
neither
good.
did I. But it's not exactly a high bar.
No,
you know what I mean. And let's be honest, it was better than 30% of his 90s WCW run.
Fuck, I could have a wrestling match with you right now that was better than 90s WCW.
Okay.
99 WCW run.
Well, I'm talking late 90s, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't think it was better than this TNA run. I think his TNA
some
run
moments of it was.
Well, sure, yeah, but I think his TNA run is grossly underrated.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But I'm that guy who gets made fun of because I'm a big fan of Joker Sting. So
I did not like Joker Sting.
Maybe I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. Before we move on to the next topic, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the big controversy. What is your take on the glass spot?
It looked really fucking cool, and the visual was incredible with his back bleeding after. I don't like it. I don't want to see people get hurt like that, or have the opportunity to get hurt like that. And it's a huge reason why I might be the only person on the planet that doesn't want to see Mick Foley have another death match. I just it was unnecessary. And I think, and I hate saying this too, because I'm not a big fan of his anymore, but I kind of agree with Jim Cornette. This is Sting's night, not your night. So,
I didn't hear Sting Cornette say that, but that's one of my notes. That's one of the notes that I made. I don't care about the spot, and we'll get into that because people know that I enjoy deathmatch wrestling. So I'm a big GCW fan. So how can I shit on this when I watch that, right? So I'm not going to shit on the danger of the spot. I have a spot that this was not your night, Darby. That wasn't the place for that spot, at all.
Because that's what more people are talking about after, right? And I didn't like that. I don't know. That's my take on it. I do want to ask you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question before you ask yours, because I've been dying to ask you this for over a week, but I kept telling myself I'm going to wait. I'm going to keep it for the show because I have a feeling this will be a discussion, and we need to be recording for it. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion or not, or if it's a good comparison or for a bad comparison. I don't care, but it is a comparison nonetheless. I need you to explain to me why so many people shit on this particular spot, but the same people have spent the last 25 years glorifying the King of the Ring 1999 spot.
The Hell in a Cell spot?
Yes. Yeah. Why do we glorify a spot like that? Because what I keep hearing is
98, not 99.
Was it? Oh, my bad. What I keep hearing over and over again is, oh, well, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. Well, did Foley almost dying that night make sense?
Okay, let's talk about the logistics of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense.
Sure. It's professional fucking wrestling.
The storytelling and the setup to Foley getting thrown off of the cage compared to Darby jumping off the ladder was a lot different. Foley and Taker used psychology to get up there and to make it happen.
You win that argument 100%.
Darby just jumped. You know what I mean?
There was zero psychology to that spot at all. From the psychology department, Foley Taker wins. But
from a danger,
from a necessary standpoint, from people saying forget that it didn't make sense. Okay, fine. Maybe the Taker Foley thing did make sense. Was it necessary?
No.
Well, it's never necessary, is it?
Here's my take on that. And call me ignorant, maybe. Call me this as an excuse. But the world was a lot different in 1998 than it is in the year 2024. Yeah. The Attitude Era was a different place. Pushing the envelope was a bigger thing. And we didn't have the knowledge of the long-term repercussions to things like this, nor did we care about long-term repercussions to things like this in the late 90s. Now we all know better. We see a guy like how Mick Foley is now, that took all these crazy bumps and can barely walk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was so veered upon because it was the first time also that anything had ever been done like that.
Yeah.
That spot, and now that, it's just like forgotten now. Like Darby Allin did that same ladder spot with Jeff Hardy.
And in
right?
1998,
Kevin Owens got thrown off of the top of a cage on through a table from Braun Strowman. People don't register it now, but because it was the first, it's romanticized.
in 1998, unless you were a tape trader or a hardcore like early internet, fucking geek, it was hard to see death matches. You didn't, the death matches that were happening pre 1998, the things that were more hardcore and more violent than what we got at King of the Ring, you probably didn't fucking see. Now, see Darby go through that giant plate of glass. You can see every second weekend at a show on IWTV with some dude
Not
with a
even
camcorder.
IWTV.
But you know what I mean, though.
You can literally go on Twitter and type in glass spot, and
so it's not
videos come. It's not shocking.
These things. There's no glamour to it anymore. There's no romanticism behind it anymore, because you see it every week. GCW does these things every second show.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it makes sense to their product. Sometimes it's fucking stupid. I respect the fucking AEW for pushing the boundaries of violence a little bit. I was very impressed that they let Nick Gage come out and do his thing. They've done other
Domino's
spots.
Pizza was not impressed with that.
No, they've done other spots where pushing that boundary, the WWE respectfully will not do, and that's great. But they have to remember sometimes too who they are. They're not GCW. They don't have to do this shit. Darby Allin, you don't have to do this shit. And to me, I don't know if it's a self-esteem thing or not, but I think Darby is just not talented enough to get by on anything else.
See,
now
my argument is different than yours.
And this is my call. Now that Sting is gone, we won't hear Darby Allin's name in a year. Darby Allin will flounder without Sting.
I think he does get lost in the mid card, and I don't know if that's because Sting is gone, or if I don't know if that's just because the roster is so big that I feel like the whole roster is a mid card right now. Even the main eventers don't feel like main eventers.
He's about to job the JBL anyways.
Wow.
Because JBL made it to the top of Everest. Darby won't.
You don't think so? I don't know.
I'm just busting his balls.
I think Darby Allin is incredibly talented as a wrestler. I've seen him have great matches. I've seen him have great wrestling matches. And I'll always go back to that match with MJF that he had that I've been begging you to watch. It was fantastic. Him and Walter had a great match on the Indies. Darby has this natural charisma that you can't teach people. And people are drawn to Darby. He has that Jeff Hardy-like fan base. Not quite as big as Jeff Hardy, but it's there. It's that special connection fan base. Like, Darby draws emotion out of people. I just don't understand why he feels the need to do this crazy shit all the time. Because I don't think it's getting him any further than if he did it or didn't do it. I don't think...
I agree.
Like,
if he was to retire the coffin drop this year and never do it again, it would not hurt his character.
No.
Like, if he thinks he needs to go out there and do such a fucking stupid move like the coffin drop every night, he's wrong. He's wrong. And I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove me that he's more talented, that he's showing me that he doesn't need to do this shit every night.
Yeah.
I want to see the Darby Allin that you apparently see.
I mean, I don't see it often, but I know it's there. I can't watch Darby matches. I don't enjoy them. Like, when he fought Christian, it was the hardest match I've ever had to watch.
Oh my fuck, that was garbage.
Those stair spots were awful. Like, just awful.
Let's touch on that really quick before this is completely off topic, new topic, and then before we move to the next topic, let's touch on that since you brought up Christian. I fucking hate everything they're doing with Edge right now.
He feels lost.
This Edge Christian story has gone on too long, too far. They're doing the I Quit match in Toronto, which if I found cheap tickets sitting around and I have a night off, I'll go.
They are cheap right now. You can get them for $40 on Ticketmaster.
Yeah, but the story of what they're doing with it, I don't give two fucks.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of what they're doing with Adam at all right now.
I've lost interest in it as well. It's not even that it's dragged on too long. It's just that I'm not getting what I want out of it, I guess.
Yeah. Now, I Quit match between King Christian in Toronto.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to be there for it.
Do you have any predictions of what this whole spike thing is?
No, it makes no sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I do want to revert back around to the Young Bucks, and you said that you were happy you kept them heel. How do you feel about this angle that they're doing, debuting Okada with them, and firing Kenny Omega from the Elite? I've got my take on it.
I have thoughts, and they're positive. My thought was the smart move to do is to pull the 05 Shawn Michaels, have them revert back to faces, try to be the baby faces of the company again. I think that's where they thrive. Do that, and do the whole, Shawn said to Hogan, I just needed to know, you know what I mean? Have them do the same thing with Sting, right? Then you go back, everything's back to normal, you move on with your lives. If they're gonna stay heel, it has to be something worth keeping them around as heels. Putting them together with Okada wasn't on my fucking bingo card. But genius. I like it so much because number one, when Kenny comes back, he's going to be a massive babyface regardless. You're not going to get people to boo Kenny Omega when he comes back. You can't have a guy as sick as Kenny is, have him recover and return and get him booed. It's just not going to fucking happen.
Kenny's been a face anyways, for the longest time.
So to have Kenny come up and already have a built-in story with the biggest heels in the company, perfect. Built-in stories with the Bucks, built-in fucking money match with Okada. Yes, they may have fought everywhere else before, not in AEW, to my recollection.
They've only ever fought in Japan.
Right. So money. Here's what I like though. How good is Okada's English?
I think it's okay.
It's okay, but not fantastic. Not let's make you the head of the company, face the company. Great. He needs a mouthpiece. What do? You put him with a manager? You have 19 old fucking farts in the back of AEW. All of them, like, who's gonna go and hang out with fucking Okada every week?
Well, I mean,
not to mention
since Tony Khan hasn't learned anything from WCW, I just dust off Sonny Ono and get another lawsuit going.
I'd be okay with that.
I do like me some Sonny Ono.
Yeah, me too. Every second, I just wish Bobby was here to make deals with Sonny Ono.
Wow, nice.
Every second fucking heel at some point was fucking teamed up with an Arn Anderson or a fucking Jake Roberts, or that shit's getting old anyways, right? So what do? You give them a stable, you give them a team, two guys who can fucking talk for you. Having them as the new Elite, I think, breathes a bit of fresh air into this program. It does something nobody expected them to do with Okada.
I didn't see it coming.
Okada's heel coming in was not what I expected whatsoever. So I like it. I like it a lot. Where's the story going before Kenny comes back, though? Who's Okada's first big feud? Who are the Elite going to feud with off the hop? Do we have hints of that yet?
Right now they're doing Pac. It looks like Pac is going to be Okada's first big match.
I didn't even know Pac was back.
He came back. Okay. They had a triple threat or a 6-man tag tonight on Dynamite, which I haven't watched yet.
Shit, okay.
Eddie Kingston and Death Triangle, or maybe Pac and Death Triangle. I don't know, but it looks like it's going to be Pac and Okada. Which, okay, take my money, but I don't give a fuck. They could put Okada in the ring with Darby Allin every week for all I give a fuck, because I know I'm getting Okada and Kenny Omega again. I don't give a shit what they do with them.
And Eddie seems to be becoming the bigger star every week. Like the AEW fans really seem to have gotten behind Eddie Kingston, much to the chagrin of everybody who doesn't like AEW. You know, your Bischoffs and your Cornettes and your Russos are going to shit on Eddie Kingston all day long,
bro.
But Eddie puts the work in, man.
He's fantastic. I don't know how you can shit on Eddie Kingston. He's so authentic.
Eddie puts the work in. Eddie is this generation's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wow.
I don't mean in draw power or anything like that, obviously, but he's that guy that you could relate to. That's why Stone Cold became so fucking popular, because he was that guy that, fuck, I want to beat up my boss. I want to drink beer at work.
I don't know if Eddie's the guy that you can relate to, but like Eddie's just so real that you believe in him. Eddie's an everyday
guy.
Yeah, I don't relate to Eddie Kingston. That guy is a street thug, tough guy, fucking.
But he's not. Eddie's not a wrestling character. Eddie, real. And I'm gonna get in shit for this. Eddie is everything John Moxley wishes he was.
Eddie's good, man. I'm a big fan of him. I give me Okada and Pac, but how smart is it? And a lot of people shit on TNA back in the day when Kurt Angle debuted, and they put him right with Samoa Joe right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of those people, but looking back on it, I think it was a smart move now.
Mm-hmm.
You got Okada and you got Kenny Omega on your roster, and you've already teased now that this is happening. This is the move to make.
100%, but it's still going to take some time. Kenny will be back for.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When Kenny comes back and his first program is with fucking Okada,
and it has to be. It has to be.
Do you bring Kenny back with anybody? Like, do you put him with Hangman and is there anybody else in the Elite that like is there going to be some 6-man tags? Like Kenny needs backup.
No, because we're not going to get Cody back.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I doubt they're
going to play the Marty Scurll card.
No.
So as far as the former Elite members, I'm going to say no.
Maybe you get Jericho and Hangman with them.
Maybe like just for nostalgia or just for like crowd pop. I don't even know if it would work. Maybe like a Stephen Amell.
I think that's too deep.
But you know what I mean? Yeah, I can see him teaming up with people, but like you said, maybe a Jericho. Maybe
like you got the 3-on-1. That's too much.
When he left, he was teaming with Jericho.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Creating a team.
Maybe you got Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Maybe you got Hangman with them.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I'd throw in another Canadian just for shits and giggles. To be honest, who do we got? Maybe an Adam Copeland.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd be totally down with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Adam. How about Adam Copeland and Okada in the meantime to get us there? That could be a great next feud.
Or depending how long he's gone. This is fun, okay? Depending how long he's gone. By the time Kenny comes back, maybe this whole thing with Christian has played out its thing.
It definitely will.
Nobody wants to see him fucking dead dudes' wives anymore. So maybe that's gone. Maybe it's time to turn Christian face, and we get Edge and Christian with Kenny Omega against the Young Bucks and Okada.
I like that.
Yeah,
because I do think that we need to see an Edge and Christian reunion at some point,
and that's a great way to start it. Do 3-on-3 to begin it, to see if what we have, and then move it down the line, and then they could do Kenny and Okada 1-on-1 and the 2 tag teams.
And that could even be something too, like if the Bucks start targeting Adam and Christian's like, fuck you guys, I can beat up my best friend, but you can't. Something like that.
I like that.
I like that. I don't know, something like
that a lot.
I like
the
it.
the only other team that I think could work in this situation is possibly the Hardys.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to be around for much
I
longer.
do not think they're going to be around. Yeah,
That's just too bad. I'd really like to see one more Hardys and Edge and Christian match.
me too. But I'm also, I got my fingers crossed that Matt will not be signing in the next few days, so that we can try to get him on this show.
There you go. Fucking right. Well, I mean, we can still try to get him on the show. We don't have to wait for him to not be signed.
Yeah, we can always try. All right, I'm going to get a drink. You go on to the next topic.
Well, I was going to say maybe we should get into the list soon, but
why don't you introduce the list? Well, we have one topic to talk about before the list.
Yeah, I want to just talk about it quickly because it ties into the list.
Why don't you talk about what the list is, and then we'll go into that topic?
Well, it is WrestleMania season, and with WrestleMania comes the Hall of Fame. And the first inductee, rightfully so this year, with WrestleMania being in Philadelphia, was announced as Paul Heyman. So I figure that this week I am going to count down the top 7 people that Paul Heyman has managed. I think it's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. And really quick, Mike, I don't want to take a lot of time on this because we're really starting to go Broadway here and we haven't gotten the list. But what are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame class this year?
Now, there's still at least 2 names to be mentioned.
Apparently.
Who
knows? Eric Rowan talked about it in our interview earlier.
But without those 2 names so far, the names we have thus far, I think it's one of the strongest classes we have seen in years.
Very good.
Every single week we've been getting a name, and I have smiled. Paul Heyman going in Philadelphia just makes sense. It only makes sense. Muhammad Ali going in 40 years after the first WrestleMania only makes sense.
Still think it should have been Cyndi Lauper though instead of Muhammad.
Well, and I agree. I feel like they were. Well, no, because they're not. I don't like that. So if they do Bray, then they should have done Cyndi. I don't like doing 2 posthumous inductees in a year. So I was thinking, okay, they just scratched off 2 coins. They did the celebrity and posthumous induction all at the same time. But I do think they will do Bray. So
unless they do the Wyatt family, right?
They might do that as well. Then we got the US Express, which makes me so fucking happy. Again, a WrestleMania 1 callback, right?
Yeah, they won the tag. Yeah. They lost the tag titles at WrestleMania 1.
I love the US Express. I love Barry Windham. Now a 2-time Hall of Famer.
It's good to see he's recovered from his he was in really bad health last year.
He looked good in that little video they shared.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love me some Barry Windham. I love me some Mike Rotunda. I'm so happy they're putting in US Express and they're not just kind of trying to, squeeze in IRS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that call. I do. I really like that call.
Yeah, me too. Who am I missing? You got Paul Heyman, US Express.
Bull Nakano.
Muhammad Ali.
Bull Nakano.
Bull Nakano, who I had the great privilege of meeting in 2019.
I wish I did. I did not get to meet her.
I've been saying for years I wanted her in. Let's quickly talk about inductors. I think the best choice for Bull would be Medusa.
100%.
Okay. Paul, many people could do Paul. Many people. I'm thinking Rob Van Dam.
I thought you were going to say they were going to call up Eddie Gilbert.
Fuck you.
Since I joke, they're not going
to get Taz. They're not going to get Taz. They're not going to get Brock Lesnar. No. Let's be honest. Oh, it could be Roman. Fuck no, it makes more sense. Probably Roman.
Roman is a good choice. CM Punk would be a great choice as well. Because they had a great time. Tommy Dreamer.
I don't think our friend Todd will be doing it.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's tough. Jim Ross would be really good for that one as well.
The U.S. Express. Who would do the U.S. Express? Bo?
Yeah, I think Bo's a good. I think Bo's a good choice for that.
Unless Bo Dallas does Bray.
If they do Bray.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
But Bray could be Rowan, or they put the Wyatt family in, and Strowman inducts them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Tough calls.
Oh, and sorry, who's the guy that got put in today?
Thunderbolt Patterson.
Very ignorant on that man's career. I don't know a whole lot about him.
I don't know as much as I should about him. I know the name. I know it's a very influential name, but I don't know a whole lot about him myself.
So far, I like the class.
Yeah, I agree.
See where it goes.
I think it's a fun class. I do.
And that, of course, brings us to our list.
Well, I do. Before we get to the list, Rob Van Dam did mention something on our show, and there's been rumors that they might be bringing back the Legacy Wing this year, like Legacy inductees. He did say something about an Extreme Wing going in this year.
So maybe instead of doing a Legacy Wing, they'll
be the Extreme Wing.
The Extreme Wing.
But if they don't, I would really like to see Sabu get put in.
I don't think it's happening this year.
Neither do I, but with it being in Philadelphia, I just think that'd be great.
It's funny because they're choosing Philadelphia to put in Paul, but technically Paul's not a Philly guy, so
he's a New York guy. All right, so on to the list here. Top 7 people that Paul Heyman has managed. Criteria for my list?
Yeah.
It's going to be Paul Heyman had to manage you, and it's going to go by the success that you had with Paul.
While you were with Paul.
Not post-Paul, not anything.
Yeah.
So I do want to do a sidebar here. And I want to give a special acknowledgement, and I didn't put them on my list because I didn't know how to put them on my list, to the Dangerous Alliance. Now, hear me out. There's like 8 people in that faction.
Yeah. So the easiest way is just to put the faction in.
I thought about that, but like I'm talking about people here. I just think it's disrespectful to not like talk about each one. You know, like because Rick Rude was like his main guy with that, but that whole group was so good. So I
fucking deal what your list is about to look like.
Oh yeah, my list is wild. I got some great deep cuts.
I have no idea what you're about. I have a feeling this is not going to be a fun list. Knowing full well that I know I am going to get some heat, because when I tell you my order, and as per, I don't know if we've met. I don't know if you know me very well, but my choices for the top 3, the order of it at least, I think might be deemed somewhat controversial.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go on, man. I don't know what to expect here.
Well, I decided to opt out on because I was gonna put Rick Rude on my list, but like that whole faction is just so incredible that I didn't want to.
I would have played the easy card and just put the Dangerous Alliance in.
I thought about it.
I'll tell you right now, they were my number 3.
I had them originally at my number 4. So
okay.
I don't know. I just wanted to just sidebar how awesome they were as a faction.
Yes.
And not like as Paul just as the manager.
And look at the fucking stars.
Oh yeah, they're great. Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko, Steve Austin, Rick Rude, Medusa.
We glamorize the Heenan family because of how great Heenan was. But you break it down to some of its parts, it's not the greatest stable in the fucking world. The Dangerous Alliance is everything the Heenan family couldn't do.
If they had a longer run, they would be talked about as one of the greatest factions of all time. Because they already are.
The Dangerous Alliance?
Yeah, but they would probably go down as number 1 if they had a longer run.
I do not disagree with that. Yeah.
So I didn't put them on this list because they're just so incredible that they would have taken up the whole list, essentially. So
yeah, that's why I would have put them as one shot.
And I don't mind.
That's why when I first asked you, I said, "What's your criteria?" First, all you said was they had to be managed by Paul. I'm like, well, fucking, I guess Steve Austin's my number one then. I don't get this, but you brought more criteria into it, so it makes a lot more sense.
I don't mind grouping like two people together like a tag team, but I just felt like 5 or 6. I just can't. I don't know. I just felt like I was cheating too much on the list.
Gotcha.
That being said, go watch anything WCW from 1992. The Dangerous Alliance are all over the early part of the year, and especially that War Games match is
said this 1,000 times on this show.
unreal.
1992 is one of the greatest years in pro wrestling. Fight me.
100%.
Because both companies were putting on fucking amazing product.
All right. With that being said, let's get into the list. Number 7 on my list. Got a real deep cut here.
Okay.
I'm going back to the original Midnight Express.
Okay.
So this is the tag team of Randy Rose and Dennis Condrey. Paul managed them in the AWA, 2 tag team championship gold.
Yeah.
And then when Tully and Arn left WCW, the Midnight Express were in the middle of feud with them and had nobody to feud with. So they called Paul Heyman and they brought in the original Midnight Express to feud with the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
And it was a great feud. A lot of great angles, like Paul busting Cornette open with his phone. The promo battles between Paul and Jim were incredible.
Yes.
And the tag matches were good. Unfortunately, ownership changed in the middle of this feud, and we didn't get a proper blow off to it. But Paul's work with the original Midnight Express was fantastic.
All right. I totally forgot about this.
Right? Good deep
cut,
cut,
it's your number 7, but yeah, I like it.
Number 6. We're going to ECW.
Well.
And we're going to 911.
Okay.
Paul,
I consider him in my number 7 spot. Yeah.
Paul and 911 were amazing together.
But you can't say success and 911 in the same sentence.
Sure you can. He was so fucking over in ECW. He was so over. People lost their shit for him to come out and do a choke slam.
Yeah.
And anyone listening to this show that's never watched it, and maybe even you
go back and watch it. No, go back and watch it. It's extremely entertaining. I was always a fan. I was always a fan of 911.
The whole arena would chant 911 for a long time.
When I think of the greats from ECW, he's not the name that comes up, which is why, but I always loved the 911 character. I love what Paul did with the 911 character.
There's the big word. What did 911 do? Like, he did a choke slam. Yeah. And he was the most overact in ECW for a long time. And that's because of Paul.
Paul got that over. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. We're going to stick with ECW for my number 5.
I would expect as much, yeah.
And we are going with the homicidal, genocidal, suicidal Sabu.
This is what number? You're 5?
Number 5.
This hovered between my 5 and 6, my 5 and 4 spots. So yeah.
I just like the presentation, especially early days Sabu when they brought him out in the gurney with the chain and fucking had the Hannibal mask on him. And Paul was the perfect mouthpiece for him. Those early feuds with Tasmaniac, and then Paul turned on him when he chose Japan over ECW and buried him in front of the crowd. That's a different story. But Sabu got over a huge amount because of Paul Heyman and his managerial skills.
Big time.
Number 4. I think this is his most underrated person that he's ever managed.
Okay.
I'm going with the Big Show.
Okay. So my order was so difficult. You're gonna give me shit for this? I put him in my also in my number 4 spot.
Yeah.
Remember what my number 3 was, though.
I know. I get it.
So I had Punk a little lower. And only because Punk did not need Paul. Were they amazing together? Yeah. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But Punk didn't need Paul. Big Show. I was never a Big Show fan. The minute you put Paul with him, all of a sudden he was legitimate to me. And
Yeah, they did that
got-
great angle with
and he's
Brock where
got
they
this
turned on him.
great story with Brock. It was the only time in Big Show's entire career where I was a big fan of him.
And it's funny because Heyman was only with Big Show for a couple months. And it left a
Which
huge
is so
impact.
funny. Which is so funny because that was my justification for leaving CM Punk so low. I'm like, oh, they were only together a little bit of time.
They were together for a long time.
But look at him in Big Show, it was even shorter.
Yeah, they were only together legit like 3 months. Like Punk and Paul were together for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where I might take some heat. My number 3. Well, I'm not acknowledging him as my number 1 or my number 2. It's Roman Reigns.
Okay. Wrong, but
why am I wrong?
We'll get there when
you're telling me Heyman is doing better work with Roman Reigns than the other 2 people on my list.
Yeah,
you're out of your mind.
Yeah, I am. And I'll justify my thoughts at the end. But especially listen, we can fight about him and Brock all day long, but him and Punk, Roman, the stuff Roman's doing is fucking god level compared to the stuff that Punk was doing.
Yeah, but I think Heyman's work with Punk was better than his work with Roman. I think Heyman's promos were stronger. I think Heyman's performances were stronger. Heyman plays a great role right now of sucking up to Roman and the wise man and all stuff.
He plays a. Here's what I love about Paul Heyman. He's not just Paul Heyman for the sake of being Paul Heyman. He plays the character, the version of Paul Heyman that is needed at 100%. The time, at the point in time. The man is smart. He's not. Well, I don't want to shit on Jim Cornette, but Jim Cornette was just always Jim Cornette, right? Jimmy Hart was always Jimmy Hart. Whether he was with a heel or a face, he was always Jimmy Hart. Paul Heyman adapts to who he's managing.
100% he does.
And which makes him one of, if not the greatest manager of all time. So what I love about what he's doing right now with Roman is he doesn't have to be front and center with a microphone. My name is Paul Heyman and I'm the advocate of fucking Bob. He doesn't have to do that right now. He has because the character of Roman Reigns does not beg for an advocate. The character of Roman Reigns needs a stooge beside him telling him, yeah, you're fucking God, man. You're the man. You're fucking God. And everything he does. Oh, my tribal chief. The way he holds the belts, the way he approaches the ring, the way he fucking cowers. He never cowered like that, even to Brock fucking Lesnar. The way he cowers behind the power of the tribal chief is a beautiful fucking thing.
I agree
with the character work he's doing with Roman, I think is the best he's done in his career.
I mean, I'm not going to argue it, and I wouldn't die on the hill. I mean, you could flip a coin for me with my number 2 and my number 3, and I'm not going to be upset either way. Mm-hmm. I just really liked Paul Heyman when he's cutting promos.
I get that.
And I just enjoyed his chemistry with, well, my number 2 is CM Punk.
Here's the other thing.
I enjoyed his chemistry with Punk better than I do with Roman.
However, let me bring up your criteria. You talked about the success of the character when they're with Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. This list was never supposed to be about Paul Heyman. This list is about the people he's managing.
Well, to an extent.
So here's where my devil's advocate side is going to come out. I'll pull the Band-Aid off. I'm going to tell you right now, the Roman Reigns was my number 1. And I know everybody's going to say, wow, above Brock Lesnar. And I get it. I get it. But here's why, for me, he was above CM Punk. He was above Brock Lesnar.
Where did you have Brock on your list? Number 2?
Number 2. Reason being. Now, when I sat down and just wrote out the list, Brock was number 1. Then when I thought about what I wanted to do, it got changed. Here's my justification here. Going by the success rate, right? No matter what, Brock Lesnar was going to be a fucking star.
I don't know, man.
Did having Paul Heyman help elevate him 10 times faster? Goddamn right it did. To
I
help him elevate to a level way bigger? 100% he is.
I don't
He's
fully
always
agree
going
with
to be
you.
a star. I think Paul has done more for Roman in that short period of time than he did for anybody else in their careers. Roman, on the other hand, they tried so fucking hard to make him the face of this company, and they failed, and they failed, and they failed. They weren't. It just wasn't going to happen for them. Then this wise man character comes along, and it starts with that, and then it becomes the tribal chief character, and from there it becomes the bloodline, and then everything that we've loved in the last 3 years of the bloodline storyline has come along and made him the face of the company that they always wanted, and it's because of Paul Heyman.
No, I don't agree with that fully.
I really do. I believe that in my heart.
I think Paul Heyman has definitely helped. Do not get me wrong.
You do
But
not put.
I think
if you
Roman
do not
is
put
getting
Paul
to that
Heyman.
level.
You don't put Paul Heyman with Roman in the beginning there. I don't think you get the bloodline.
But I think if you took Paul Heyman out when the Usos joined him, I think Roman still gets to where he is.
I don't think so.
I think Heyman. No, when I say that, I mean Heyman definitely has helped. Do not get me wrong. I'm not taking away what Heyman does for the bloodline, but that character is so strong. It's getting over to that level with or without Paul Heyman.
I just think that Roman's success in such a short period of time is far greater than anything that Punk or even Brock did.
Nah, Brock's a way bigger draw than Roman ever has been, and he always will be. Even to this day, Brock's still a bigger draw.
I don't know.
No, 100%. Brock Lesnar.
I don't know if I
draw.
buy. I'm not going to argue with you. I just don't know if I buy the always will be part.
I think Roman's hit his peak.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I Roman Reigns will not get higher than what he is now.
All right.
How do you top what he's done now? Like, where does he go after he drops the titles? He's always gonna be the main event guy. Yeah. But I mean, he's topped out. I think this is the highest peak we hit Roman Reigns. I hope I'm wrong. I do. But I mean, with this carnation of Roman Reigns, at least, like,
I'll never die on the hill with the Brock argument. I will never tell you that you're wrong saying that Brock is the number one man. This is just how I feel about Roman.
I just think the Brock Heyman combo is way stronger.
Think you're wrong about CM Punk.
I won't die on the Punk hill.
I do believe that CM Punk should not be. I'm assuming your number two.
He is my number two. I mean, I flip flop Punk and Roman 500 times, so I don't have a problem flip flopping it again. You made some great points. I just really like their chemistry together better than I like Roman and Heyman's chemistry together. Other
than his feud with Taker, I don't remember a whole lot of it, to be perfectly honest.
I had the Jericho feud with Heyman there, the Ryback stuff, the Shield, the Rock.
See, you bring in the name Ryback and I'm lost. I don't give a shit anymore.
No, but that was when Ryback actually was good. When they put thought into putting the belt on Ryback. People lost their mind when they put him in that Hell in a Cell match. They thought it was going to be the crowning of the new king of the WWE.
Wait, so if Punk's your number two, where's Curtis Axel fitting this?
He is slightly behind the Dangerous Alliance.
All right.
And but to me, like, Brock Lesnar is the clear number one. That is the best work that Heyman has done as a manager with anybody. His spiel, he got Brock to another level. Paul Heyman is so important to Brock Lesnar that after Brock returned and cut a terrible promo his first week back, he said, "I'm not coming back unless you hire Heyman back."
Yeah. Do you remember they tried so hard to make Heidenreich the next Brock Lesnar?
Yes. But to go back to your point about you think Brock would have gotten over without Heyman?
I do. I think that man was already coming out of OVW. He was a star.
How many of those guys have we seen come and go throughout the wrestling industry, though?
True.
Paul Heyman gave him instant credibility.
Yep.
And obviously Brock is a freak, so he's on a higher level than a lot of these guys. But, what happens if you would have put Paul Heyman with Batista and you flip Brock and Batista?
See,
right?
I love that. I love that you said that, because before we wrap this up, I want to play a little game with you. I want to talk about maybe missed opportunities. Is there anybody out there? Doesn't necessarily need to be WWE. Is there any wrestlers in the world that you think? I was gonna say could opportunize from Paul, but everybody can. So but is there anybody you think really would have been a great fit for Paul? Batista's a great pick. I never even thought of Batista. That's great.
Batista would have been great.
I have a name for you right now. If he would have got signed to WWE years ago, he's done now. I have no interest in seeing him in WWE now. But in his younger years, you would have brought him over. You put him with Paul. I think Brian Cage could have been a massive star.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
What about Pillman Jr.?
Pillman Jr. If they were going to give him something similar to a loose cannon gimmick, I think you put him with Paul.
How about Braun Breaker?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's no wrong answers. Everybody can succeed under the wing of Paul Heyman, unless your name is Curtis Axel, or Heidenreich. But as long as you have some sort of fucking talent, you can. I shouldn't say that. Curtis Axel, I love you. Please come on this show. I really like Curtis Axel. It was just not a good fit. If you have any sort of talent, Paul can work with you, and Paul can make you.
I think the biggest disappointment.
Paul can elevate you.
Cesaro was the biggest disappointing Heyman guy.
I actually forgot about that.
You know who I would have loved to see with Paul Heyman? The tag team of Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, that would have been great.
When
I was trying to prepare for this list, you know me, I always like to look at other people's lists. A name came up that I don't remember being a Paul Heyman guy. I want to ask you if you have any recollections of this actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, at some point, Kurt Angle was.
It was right after Big Show.
I don't remember that at all.
He managed him for 2 months, in January and February.
I have zero recollection of that.
Yeah, Heyman managed 3 world champions in a row. He managed Brock, then Big Show, then Angle. He turned on Big Show and went with Angle. And then he was with Angle for the Rumble match with Benoit. And he was with him for February's pay-per-view. And then he left him before WrestleMania. Brock took him out.
Paul and Benoit would have been cool.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect name. I have one honorable mention, and it's Tommy Rich. They're working Memphis together.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Like
almost made my list for that cage angle where they shaved Jerry Lawler's head.
Yeah, I like that.
That's my one honorable mention.
Yeah, I don't think I have any actual honorable mentions except for the Dangerous Alliance as a whole. Rick Rude. I'm going to just pick Rick Rude from the Dangerous Alliance.
Who did you not or have on your list that I didn't have other than the Dangerous Alliance?
Well, I didn't have 911.
Yeah.
I thought about him, but who did I have instead? I truly don't remember.
Either way.
Who did I have instead? I think I had Rick Rude.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think I had Rick Rude on my fucking list twice.
And
because that's how much I love the work that Paul and Rick did.
They were fantastic together.
He was Rick again. Rick didn't need a mouthpiece. Rick Rude does not need a manager.
You know who Paul would have been good with?
Paul has this way of going with guys like Punk, Rick Rude, and all these guys who don't need managers.
Roman.
And in the beginning, I think Roman did. Roman's come a long way with Paul. Roman's promo skills have come so far. But I think Paul's helped him with that.
I would like to have seen Paul manage Abdullah the Butcher.
All right.
I just think it would have been
I like
awesome.
that.
That would have been cool.
That's cool.
I don't know. Just random.
You throw him in the new generation, I want him with Mankind.
Yeah, fair. To be fair, he did have a Paul.
can you imagine him doing the thing like he just sits? Paul is the one doing the promos outside of the boiler room.
Oh God, that would have been great.
I have got my man. He's in there. You don't bother him. You talk to me. You don't talk to him.
Paul could have been scared of the rat.
You know, yeah, man, that would have been money.
Is Paul the greatest manager of all time, or you still give it to Bobby?
Oh, that's so hard because I keep questioning myself. Am I holding on to nostalgia? Is Bobby the greatest of all time, or is it nostalgia? And I'm going to be honest with you. I think I've finally come to my final answer. I think Bobby Heenan is still the greatest color commentator of all time, and that will never change. He's better than the King. He's better than Shivani. He's better than, Pat McAfee, even though Pat McAfee's the fucking king right now. I don't think we'll ever get a better color commentator than Bobby. I think Bobby is just under Paul Heyman.
I'm with you. I agree as well.
And that almost hurts to say because I've been calling him the greatest manager of all time for 30 years. So to say anything different feels weird.
The only argument I'll give Bobby,
I think it's time to admit that Paul Heyman is the greatest manager of all time.
The only argument I'll give Bobby is like because Paul's like accolades as a manager are a lot more than Bobby's, but we still talk about Bobby as being the best without managing a world champion and without, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's weird because again, are we just holding on to nostalgia? Are we just holding on to this era of wrestling that we loved so much? And Bobby, we don't want to say a bad word about Bobby. We don't want to ever say Bobby's not the best at something.
Well, at the end of the day, neither one of them are Mr. Fuji. I think that's the right note to take us home, my friend.
I love Mr. Fuji. Oh, it was a great Shawn Michaels moment. Yeah, that's a great time. Great time to take it home. You're probably right. We probably did go Broadway today. But
that's the first time we recorded in a month.
It's our first show in a month. Fuck it. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're doing. It's my list. I'll think of something fun. We're at WrestleMania season, and we'll do something. I don't know yet. But on behalf of everything we talked about tonight, and on behalf of you, my friend, I've learned a lot in the last week to say things more. So I'm going to say this on air. I love you. You are my brother. Thank you for doing
too, my friend.
Thank you for doing this with me every week. I could have took another week or two off. I know you would have gave that to me, but it was important that I get back on the saddle and do this thing. And this is part of my therapy. I love this show more than many things in my life. So this is important that I got back on here. So after one more episode of the Jameser sealed of approved, counted out with Mike and Tyler, you've been counted out.
Cheers.